guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about cybersecurity. But what is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is all about protecting our devices, personal information online, and from bad guys that are trying to access that information. Like at home, we lock all of the doors at night or even in the middle of the day so that we keep safe our personal belongings. We have the honor to be with a cybersecurity expert called Mr. Catalgo. And in this video, we are also going to be talking about other ways that you could prevent bad guys from getting your information, criminals, such as what information you should not share online and what softwares you should use to prevent these things, such as firewalls, antiviruses, and other programs that we could use, such as Northern, that have these things in common, and VPN, many other things. So let's get started. So now that we have Mr. Ketlecho, we could ask a few questions about cybersecurity and how we could keep safe from criminals, cyber criminals. So what is cybersecurity and why is it important?
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to come here and speak to you about cybersecurity. I feel honored to be part of your show. So yeah, just to get straight into the point, I mean, cybersecurity, as far as my experience goes, I've been in the industry for about 8 years now. So the definition of cybersecurity is essentially protecting information security assets of an organization. So in this case, we'll say that you're protecting your computers, your phones, and people's information from being stolen by cyber criminals. So if you want to put it in a very easy way, you would say that you're the police of the internet. So I'm the person that goes on to say I'm protecting these assets. These could be computers from being objects, exactly, from being stolen by cyber criminals. So that's what cybersecurity means. So securing that information.
Okay. Thank you very much. And now that we've talked about a little bit and we've got a little bit in the zone and in the domain of cybersecurity, how do cyber criminals operate and what are they after?
I mean, at the end of the day, the most important thing is how can they make money out of it. So just like with any other criminal, the point is to make money. So what they try to do is steal information or any other critical, well, mainly information, that's what they're after. And they sell it on the internet, mostly the dark web. I don't know if you've heard of something called the dark web, definitely. So yeah, that's where they sell it. So the point is steal the information, get as much money as you can get out of that information, sell it on the internet, and there's usually people who are willing to buy that information. So they're after your information and an organization's information. That's your cyber criminals and what they most importantly care about in the.
Why is it so important to create strong and unique passwords?
Okay, so passwords are very important because they are one thing that authenticates that you are who you say you are. Let me give you an example. Password is like a key to your lock. So if you had one key that opens on all the locks, so if you lose that one key, people could just pick up the key and be able to open everything, right? So you need a strong and a unique password. Unique is very important because what happens is if you've got a unique password for every website that you have or every account that you have, if that password gets lost or a cyber criminal picks it up, they won't be able to log into your if you say they stole your Facebook account, they won't be able to log into your Instagram, Twitter, and any other accounts. But if it's the same, your email address is always public, right? Because you share it with people to send you messages. So if they've got your email address and the password is the same, they'll be able to use it.
But how like are cyber criminals trained to be able to like see if you have one password or if there was a password that was lost that's not used? Like, do they have all of these statistics?
So what they do is companies get hacked on a daily basis. Many websites get hacked. So if a website was not implementing cybersecurity practices that are up to standard, a cyber criminal would actually still go to that website, hack it, steal your email address and then your password. If your password was not secure, if they've got that email and password, and if you're using the same email and password for all the other websites, what they do is they just go try it out. So eventually one
Just
will
in case.
fit, just in case you use the same. So the good thing is if you're using strong and unique passwords, if they do that, they won't be able to access your account. But because they understand the psychology of people, we as people are lazy by nature, so we want to take the shortcut, right?
usually put the same password everywhere
Exactly. So if you do that, and
because it's quite a lot of trouble.
it's easy to remember, right? And if it's easy to remember, you won't forget it. You won't forget it, and you'll be able to.
You could note it down and put it somewhere.
Which is same. It's bad. If you note it down, it's bad because somebody can just pick up the paper and then they are you.
If you put it in a safe or something.
Yes. So here's the most important thing. So for user for passwords, there's we call them password vaults that you can use, which is a plugin that you download and plug it onto your web browser, so it remembers your passwords. The only password that you have to remember is the master password for the password vault, and then the password vault will automatically plug in your username and password. It can also suggest strong unique passwords.
Can you use the same? Is it safe to use the same master password?
Well, the master password is the one golden key to all of your passwords, so it has to be the strongest, and you're going to remember it.
So I think that's the safest way of staying very safe. Note it down, put it in the safe, and after the only thing that you have to memorize is the code for the safe.
Exactly.
So after you can just
That's
say,
pretty much.
okay, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. Then go and you have to go.
So when you make the master, remember, the master password has to be very secure. It has
And
to be
simple.
low.
And simple.
Well, something that you can remember, but something that is
Understandable
very strong.
and strong,
So-
like maybe long or very short. Those are the two like strong ways. You could make it like maybe 1 digit or 1 letter.
That's very easy to crack if it's 1 digit. So
Who would ever try that?
everybody. So here's the thing. The most important thing to remember is that there's something called brute forcing. When you're brute forcing, it's when you've got almost all the combinations of all passwords and you're trying all the passwords on a login screen. Any password that has got one character will literally take any computer 1 second to crack, right? Because a computer knows there's only 9 possibilities if you've got one character. If it's a number, or 10 possibility if it's a number, but if it's let's say a letter plus a number and it's just one character, it's gonna be maybe less than 30 or maybe about 40 something. 10 plus 26, that's 36, right? It will take a computer 36 tries to crack a 1 character password. So the most important thing is, you would see every website that you visit, they would say at least minimum of 8 character passwords, because it takes longer for any computer to crack the 8 character password. So, but my advice always is to say, use what we call passphrases. Password that is a passphrase. An example of a passphrase.
A sentence.
Yes, that's a passphrase.
You could just, for example, say, I do not want anyone to find this password with spaces. Then that's it.
Exactly.
And who would even try spaces?
I mean, if it allows you, if your login screen allows spaces, that's a special character, then it'll work. Most of the time, it doesn't allow that, but
Well, you could use
use.
I forgot the name. That like lower line.
Yeah, well, that's underscore.
The underscore.
Yes, you could use the underscore as a special character. And if you use, my advice to people is, if you can, use passphrases or have a formula for your password, and know that if let's say Facebook, if you go to Facebook, you would say that Facebook has got whatever number of characters, so you take the last four characters of the website plus a certain number that you know plus a special character plus maybe another whatever
Yeah, like
character
maybe
that you have.
your favorite number, then you put plus, then your
Plus.
favorite color in left.
Exactly.
Great.
And then you
So why we should never share personal information online?
yeah, that's a very big one, eh? So because think about, if I meet you now, I see your face, I know it's you, right? I can't miss that. But online, I only see your picture and your
You
account.
could just make it pitch black.
Yes, you could just make it pitch black.
Or some people that are not very knowledgeable about these things would usually put the face.
Yep. So sharing personal information online makes it easy for cyber criminals to impersonate you as a person.
So it would not really be safe to put its own face as a logo or something, right?
Face, I mean, you have to share your face because sometimes, let's say your profile on Facebook or your Instagram or your LinkedIn profile, we need to see that it's you indeed, right? The most important thing here is not to overshare. There's something called oversharing. Oversharing is always bad. So you need to make sure that you only share what you need to share online.
Mhm.
So Facebook, you just need to show your face, right? I don't need to know when you were born or where you were born or what you're doing or where you are,
Okay.
right? That is very important information that cyber criminals can take to either impersonate you or know your whereabouts, locate you, and be able to perform criminal attacks. Sometimes I've heard of people's homes being broken into because they overshared information online. They shared on Instagram that, oh, I'm on holiday, I went to Paris.
Yeah, and that's the most dangerous thing. One of the most
Exactly.
dangerous things. Never say that you're from there, that you're going there. Because
Yes.
if you, for example, share your location, especially if you do that, then you say I'm going here,
Yep.
now, this week. Often they could just come. Well,
They will definitely.
and also, most of the times, if you try to podcast, stream, things like that, they would, maybe if they come from the same country,
Mhm.
after they can know, oh, where is that? I can go there still.
Yeah.
He said it's going to Paris or whatever I go.
Yes. So that's why you should not share personal information online.
Okay, thank you much. And what about number 5? What are phishing scams and how to recognize them?
So phishing scams, I think about fishing. When you're fishing, you go to the lake or to this whatever, to the river, to try and catch some fish. So you put some bait, and then you throw it into the river, and there's a fish that's gonna bite, and then you take out that fish. You've got some a meal to eat tonight, right? So phishing, it comes from that, and what it essentially means is that a cyber criminal sends you a malicious link. You click on that link, the link pretends as if it's your bank and any other institution, but the motive is to harness to get your details so that they can either impersonate you or steal your money. Most of the time, at the end of the day, the plan is to get financial gain from the whole situation. So phishing is stealing a person's information for financial gain, and how you recognize them is you just don't click on links. That's the number one advice that
And
I tell
also,
everybody.
especially in games, they normally say what's your date of birth, one like that. You have to avoid, like maybe say it's very safe to just do a very old age or a young age,
Well,
not specifically your age.
Well, sometimes that is information that is needed because in games, what they do is when they do that,
Yeah,
they do it for a
especially
purpose
that.
of if you forget your password, they can ask you certain questions, right? So if you're gaming and maybe let's say you're dealing with a reputable gaming company, they will ask you the information. You need to be truthful because you need to be able to recover your account. I'm gaming, so I did some gaming. I know the importance of having an account and protecting that account. So phishing, what they do is they will pretend as if they are
But still,
the game.
it's also still sometimes it could not be very safe. So the thing that you always have to keep in mind is that you should always note it down. So this comes back to the thing that I was saying, put it in your safe then. Remember, so it's like if you had a hierarchy or like
Yeah.
a big tree,
Yeah.
right? you have the main central master password. Then you
Yes.
have all of these small
All of
passwords.
these small passwords inside the safe. That's exactly what it is. So there's a lot of password safes that you can use. There's LastPass, there's Bitwarden, there's OnePassword, there's tons and tons. Just don't use the ones that you find that comes with your browser.
But how do we recognize them? How
That-
do we prevent from getting those scams?
So how do you prevent yourself
Firewalls?
from getting the swap? Well, firewalls, they will protect your infrastructure, but not really phishing. So to an extent they can, but the primary way of preventing phishing preventing phishing would be to educate people. What we're doing here, we're telling people, please be aware that there are phishing scams. But how do you recognize the phishing scams is always make sure that you check the email that comes to you. If right now you receive an email or an SMS that says you just won 2 million dirhams, are you gonna believe that?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't. It would seem pretty
Too good to
odd.
be true.
Too good to be true.
Exactly. You never entered a competition.
Imagine if
for
it was real.
Yeah, but that's what they're capitalizing on. They're trying to because they know people need money, so they're gonna send you something that either makes you fear or entices you to do something. But the rule of thumb is always to go back and think before you click.
But how can you prevent these? Because sometimes you don't have to recognize them. Sometimes you just go on the site to say, okay, this is official. Do cyber criminals usually sometimes put it official? They say official by, I don't know, CIA or whatever.
Yeah, I mean they would do that. I mean, what the best way to get a person
Then
to
how
respond?
would you really save yourself from that happening and phishing scams and all that?
So there's two ways to do. There's number one is from a technical perspective. You mentioned firewalls. You mentioned there's spam filters.
Yeah, so
on
firewalls. I don't think
emails.
we've already talked about this, but
Yeah.
firewalls. Would you like to explain what firewall is?
Well, firewall it's basically a wall at the edge of your, I would say your organization. So think about a fence. At home, you've got a fence and a gate, right? At the gate, you say, I only allow these kind of people. So if you come to my house or if I come to your house, I would have to identify myself and somebody would have to say, okay, I know this guy coming. So a firewall is essentially that, but on computers. So it says to the network traffic, do I know you? And if it doesn't know that network traffic, it won't
Then
allow
you'll say
it in.
you could have a potential risk or it wouldn't work, so stop. So it just says
Yes.
you cannot access this page.
Yes, you're not allowed to access this, or you're not allowed to come in. Therefore, I'm not going to give you
You
access.
cannot.
Yeah, you cannot.
It's not no, because I mean it is your computer.
You decide who gets in and who doesn't. So
Like you
If
could,
you
for
decide-
example, let bad guys come in, but not good guys.
you could do that, but I
You
don't
decide
imagine
whatever you
anyone-
want. I mean,
Yes.
you can. But I don't know who would ever
Who would
do
ever
that.
do that exactly. So the plan is only let good guys in and bad guys out.
So you could use firewalls.
You could use firewalls, but the most important thing is to educate people. So telling people that look, don't just click on anything, and also speaking to the people about what to look for is look for emails that are too good to be true. Look for SMSs or messages that are unsolicited. I mean,
But what about link? You were talking about links.
Yeah.
Like,
so
how do you prevent from clicking it? I mean, you could get extensions from those, but after sometimes it could also be like they could maybe cyber criminals like the best ones, or I don't know, something like that. They could maybe even try to frame that and try to say this is good, but actually it's bad.
Yeah.
So how could you really know when you click on the link? You're sure that it's not a fake link.
So, initially I said don't click on links. So the most important thing is
So how
if
could you navigate yourself on the computer if you really want to see something?
clicking on links is very dangerous. But the best way to do it is if, let's say, your bank sends you a message, or somebody that pretends to be your bank sends you a message and say you need to confirm your bank account. Please put in click on the link, put in your details, and then we'll send it back to you. You don't click on the link. You go onto Google and type in your bank and say if your bank is whatever bank you're using. You just go and tap on that bank and say www.mybank.ae or .com and click on the link that appears on Google. At least in that case, it's safe. You know that's the official website. But the one that comes on your link, one of the ways to check whether this is a legit email is to look at the domain. So the domain is, if it says www.google.co.za or .google.com, that's the domain. You always look at that. So if it says google.com, you know it comes from Google. But sometimes the cyber criminals are very clever. What they do is they say Google, but you look at the O as if it's an O, but it's a zero. It's not a, it's Google, but it's zero.
So, our next question is, why software and operating systems must be regularly updated?
Well, it's mainly because they get weak, or there's weak
Weaker?
codes. But they don't get weak over time, but time allows people to start poking into the software, and
As they
they're
get more
able-
time to interact and think
Yes,
with it.
and they can pick up weaknesses. Think about gaming. When you're doing gaming, there are glitches, right? Sometimes you're doing something and the character does something that is not natural to what the character should do. That's a glitch. So what happens is that you find glitches in software that allows people to bypass authentication, allowing them to go into the computer without a valid password. It's one of the use cases. So you need to patch it because of that. You also need to update because of functionality. Maybe they introduce a new feature, but with new features can also inherit some security weaknesses. So it's very important to keep it updated, because if you don't, it allows criminals to exploit weaknesses that the manufacturer has found in the phone or in the software that you have not patched. So it's important to keep patching as soon as the patches are available, try to patch that software.
So, our next question, what is an antivirus and how do they protect devices?
An antivirus is it's an antidote to your computer, for your computer, but to try and remove the virus. So what happens is, if by some mistake you'll click on the link and you get infected, the antivirus will protect you. So there's layers of security. The first one is, don't click on that link because it might contain a malicious virus.
Like you were
If
saying, phishing scams?
Exactly, but sometimes when you click on a link, it takes you to a malicious website, it downloads malware, and it exploits your computer. So it infects your computer. So in order to
For
avoid
people like games where there's like easy mode, medium mode, for people that are more easy and unmature, people that are not very knowledgeable, like when you're not very knowledgeable for a game, that means you're worse than you have easy. So it's really an easy mode to be more safe, and just in case if you make a mistake of a like easy mode, or an unmature person that wouldn't understand these concepts, it's like a extra protection thing.
extra level of protection.
Layer
Of
protection.
protection. You need to have an antivirus. You need to keep it updated, because it's one of the ways that you would be safe if you have a computer. My advice is always, everybody should have an antivirus, not just for your computer, also your iPad and also your phone. It's very important.
So next question. Why should we only use secure networks and avoid public Wi-Fi?
Well, because public Wi-Fi, it's public, right? So the most important thing for you as a person using the internet is to make sure that on the internet, the communication is between you and the intended recipient. In this case, let's say you're doing banking, it'll be your bank. So if you're using a public Wi-Fi, what happens is you're hopping onto another person's network, and your information is going through that person's network and then goes to your bank. So in that case, you don't know whether the information is secure, whether somebody's listening onto the information.
So our last question is that could you give us a few tips, most important tips, on how to stay safe online?
Well, the most important one is Do not click on links. That's number one. And never overshare your information being your personal information, your location, and various other things online that could identify where you are or locate you. And you also need to have very secure password, unique passwords for every website. So never ever reuse a password. If you've got a lot of accounts, use a password manager that will help you to make sure that you do not reuse a password and you cannot be hacked. And I think one of the other important things is just to keep yourself updated as to what's happening and update your devices. Update your devices with the latest software, never download illegal softwares, and always get the correct versions. Pay for the license if you have to, at least that'll make sure that your data is safe and you are not compromised. So, yeah, that is the most important tips that I can give our viewers today.
So thank you very much. Here you go. Welcome to the
Thank you.
channel. And I really appreciated your help. And thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you very much for inviting me to your channel, and I'm hoping that your viewers will appreciate this. And most importantly for me, I think the most important is for people to actually follow cyber hygiene and stay safe online.
Right.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.